Hi, Dramiones fam. Okay, you've asked, and I am attempting to deliver. As it was last year, this countdown was way harder to make than the one I did for published works. I have had this list going for weeks and have been hemming and hawing. And you might say that it's not that serious, and to that I say, are you my husband? And also, it is the seriousest. I mean, come on. So let me just preface this by saying, in no way am I ranking these fics on quality. The fics that didn't make this list are also in no way lesser. In fact, there's so many really good fics that made my short list that there's just so many. I only have 10 slots. This list is more about the impacts that the fics themselves had on me personally. They are all top quality. They are all number one in my heart. The fics that didn't make this list are also top quality and are number one in my heart. So there we go. I'm going to do this look, so you're going to get ready with me. I'm also going to play the song I associate with each fic because, as I drive around listening to music, I'm like, oh, this song makes me think of this fic. And, we all do that, right? Anyway, let's get into it and start with number 10. Here we go. This one makes me think of All at Once by The Fray. This is The Scavenger Hunt by Emeralds in the Dark. I really liked a lot about this fic. The pairings were fantastic. We've got a Ronzi, a Blinny, a Not Pot Supremacy. It's a Hogwarts 8th year fic, and we get to see them in that in-between place. They're coming off, war, and the scavenger hunt literally makes them deal with all of their choices and regrets and trauma so that they can begin their lives. I really liked the structure of this. It was different with them all participating in the scavenger hunt and kind of growing together. As I said before, this is a fic for the fanfic girlies. All right, number 9 is going to be From Wiltshire with Love by Mistress Lynn, and the song I'm pairing with this is Little Girl Gone by Chinchilla. This fic to me is about the badassery of women. Every female character in this fic is interesting and badass in her own way. Yes, I enjoyed the conflict within Draco as he becomes a spy for the Order, all while taking on, more dark responsibilities in the Death Eater inner circle. I enjoyed their sometimes sweet and sometimes dark love affair, but what really stuck with me about this fic is Banff Lavender Brown, Banff Hannah Abbott, Banff Millie Bulstrode, Banff Hermione, and Banff Tonks. Okay, number 8 is going to be Where the Duck is Minerva McGonagall by Rogue Roxy, and the song I'm pairing with it is Us by Regina Spektor. Love this song, loved this fic. Discovering and reading Roxy's fics this year has really been one of the great delights of 2025 for me. Oops, I Joined the Good Guys was also definitely on my short list for this countdown, and if you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. But Where the Duck just has the staying power of Demat Mobile for me. It's definitely one of the funniest fics I read this year. It has great original characters. It has a great plot. It's just a top god tier fic all the way around. Okay. Number 7 is going to be Green Light by Serene Musafir. Going from a really funny fic to probably the saddest fic I read this year. This was probably the hardest read of the year, and it was hard for many, many reasons. First, it's quite epic in scope. It's like I've said, it's almost like a few different fics kind of into one. And second, Hermione is so broken in this fic. I was like choking on sobs. And third, speaking of sobbing, I think this fic made me cry the most. That being said, this fic is a masterpiece and it is completely unforgettable. There's just so many good things in this fic. I don't know. Draco is very hard in this fic, and maybe the Gatsby connection kind of gave him mafia vibes. So if that's does it for you, you should definitely read Greenlight. But him softening for her really did something for me and to me. Okay. Number 6 is going to be the Gloriana set by Phoebe Moon, and I'm pairing this with What I Want by Muna. I love Muna. There's going to be more Muna on this list. This fic is just a delight. It's funny, it's got a mystery, it's got plot and momentum, but it also kind of lets that last year of Hogwarts breathe. I love a Hogwarts fic that lets them actually be the age they are, and this one does that, I thought, beautifully, because it is a lot about, them overcoming trauma and stuff, but it's also about that last year, about Newts and everything, and Hermione gets to be a badass in this one. I loved the original first year characters. I loved just so much about this fic. It's funny, but it has real heart. And I loved every time she walked around going, I'll do what I want. Here we go. At number 5, we've got Bloody, Slutty, and Pathetic by What Murda. And of course, I'm pairing this with Bleeding Love by Leona Lewis. I went into this fic expecting a smut fest, and I wasn't really expecting a fic that hit as hard as this one did and kind of stuck with me. Is there smut? Sure. It's a bloody, sexy good time. But it's also political and mysterious and dangerous. There's a real story here. Hermione, with Draco's assistance, is learning to come into her power, and Draco, with Hermione's assistance, is learning to come to terms with who he is and who he can be. It's such a beautifully mutually beneficial relationship, and I love how this fic explores that. I feel like if you want to understand Draco and Hermione and why they work, this fic is such a good example of that. Also, best effing Neville Longbottom ever. Like, hot damn. You want a Panville? This fic gives you a Panville. All right, I told you there'd be more Muna on this playlist. This is In My Way by Muna, and I am pairing this with The Trials and Tribulations of Draco Malfoy's Employment by Lady Ursa, which is number 4. This fic is so incredibly well written, you cannot convince me Lady Ursa is not a published author or deserves to be. Every single effing line is an absolute banger. The plot is amazing. We love a grown-up, Draco and Hermione on an adventure. It's kind of a bonkers plot, and I was here for it. You want a yearny, piney Draco? You think you'll find a better one than this one? Shan't. All right, number 3 is A Hard Road to Hoe by Blessed Toaster. And I'm pairing this with Cry by Mandy Moore. If you have read this, you understand why. I am really glad that after the tear fest that I had last year, I read Manacled and Secrets and Masks and The Fallout and other soul crushers. This year, I read so many lighthearted and hilarious fics that also really stuck with me. I read Hard Road to Hoe early in the year, and it did. It really stuck. I still consider it one of my favorite fics ever. The fact that it's number 3, it's number 1 in my heart, right? The original characters in this are truly top-notch, real living characters that now live rent-free in my brain. And the open, flirtatious banter, honest conversation between Draco and Hermione was really stunning and breathtaking and kind of a relief after so much idiocy in all the other fics. Not that I don't love the idiocy in other fics, but the lack of it here was kind of nice. If you haven't read this one, I don't know what you're doing. Blessed Toaster put out a post recently that said she's going to be publishing some original work or attempting to, working on her original work. I'm not sure, but I am here for it. You are an excellent writer, and I will buy what you are selling. Here we go. I am at number 2, and I know I already did a whole video using K-pop songs, but this song, when I watched K-pop the first time, I thought of this fic. This is Perfectly in Pieces by C.D. Lin, and yes, I'm pairing it with what it sounds like. And so, speaking of soul crushers, this is another sad one, but it's so much about healing that it can't help but be hopeful, so it's not like quite a soul destroyer. Will you cry? Yes. Will it break you? Yes. But this one will also fix things you didn't know you needed fixed. This fic made me a Theo Ginny believer. This version of them might be my favorite non-Dramiones pair of the year. They were both well-written with an incredibly loving hand, Theo especially, and this version of them resides here in my cockles. Mind the tags on this one, protect yourself, but it is massively worth the read. All right, and we are at number 1. And for this one, here we go with the song. Are we surprised seeing how much I have talked about this fic this year? De Traquet by Hysterical is my number 1. And as I've said, it is better than most published works I've read in years. What a journey this fic was. The characterization of every single person in this fic is astounding. Like, absolutely no notes. This Theo, like Perfectly in Pieces Theo, just lives in my soul. And Hermione, I don't think I've ever read anything that understood a character the way this fic understood Hermione, if that makes sense. It is the bearing of her very soul, and I loved every minute of it, and it was a lot of minutes. At 750,000 words, it's definitely the longest fic I read this year, but I would have kept going. I would have stayed with this Hermione until her dying breath. This fic is stunning, it's extraordinary, it's fantastic, it's spectacular, it's all the things. Well, there you have it, folks. How do you think I did? I feel like I could make another video of the other 10 fics that were on my short list. What do you think? Would you like that? I might also just make some superlative videos or talk about them by trope. I'm not sure. There's so many fics that deserve so much more hullabaloo. What were your favorite fics this year? I really want to take a minute to thank you for being with me this year, and especially if you're still with me right now in this video. Thank you for your recs, for your comments, for your love. I feel like a lot of people online get a lot of negative comments, and I just feel like I don't. I get a little teensy bit, but not a lot, and I love that. Thank you for the love you gave me on my own fic, The White Aconite. It was such a great experience to write it this year. If you haven't written your own fic, I highly recommend it. I just posted a new fic. It's a Christmas Dramiones called How the Git Stole Christmas. Please check that out. But I love you guys. I joke with my best friend that she is my emotional Bengay. You know that tingly, instant, hot and cool relief sensation you get when you put like Bengay on? That's what this community is for me. It's emotional Bengay. This community has saved my soul and mind in so many ways. I'm grateful for the fics. I'm grateful for the authors, and especially grateful for all of you. So thank you. Happy holidays, happy new year, and happy reading.